and welcome to Pursue the Pool, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who are looking for a career change or for those who want to pursue their dreams and start their own business. Now, how do we differ from all of the other inspirational podcasts out there? Well, what we do is we interview people from a range of different industries. So if you want to set up your own tech company, your own marketing agency, your own restaurant, whatever it might be, we have someone specific from that industry to tell you how to get started, the highs and lows, and most importantly, the truth. Now, we are one group and one community, and we have all of the answers. I'm your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I have an amazing guest. His name is Liam Heeley, and he is the founder of Heads Creative. So first of all, thank you for joining us, Liam. We are excited about the insight that you're going to give us.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I really like that intro. It sounds like it's rehearsed a lot.
I've done it multiple times.
I can tell. Flows off your
Now it
tongue.
just flows. You see, I only look at the paper now when I'm doing the bio,
Yeah.
but that seems to flow now.
Love
Okay,
it.
so look, before we go into the questions, I'm just going to tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do, so give a bit of your background. Okay, so you have 9 years of experience within the creative industry, from being a photographer, videographer, and working all around the world with different companies, brands, and celebrities. Now, within this period, you've achieved a lot, and you actually moved to Hollywood, where you was invited to lavish events, star-studded previews, fashion shows, and product launches, where you were able to capture footage for social media and managed to photograph the likes of Lady Gaga and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Then after 7 years of being in Hollywood, you moved back to Manchester, the UK, and you knew that you wanted to put all your content skills to good use. And this is when the idea of creating a magazine came about. So with your partner, Molly Ball, you launched the Heads magazine. Now a creative agency, Heads also work with local brands like Black Milk Cafe, Joshua Brooks and Laverne, alongside big international names like Manchester United, Adidas and Popeyes. Heads also holds regular meet-up sessions where creatives can meet one another and make use of some of the city's best studios, event spaces and venues to create their own content. Now, this is amazing. I just want to get straight into everything. So give me a bit of your background. How did this all start? Because I know there was an educational background, like you went to college or you dropped out of college and then you kind of came into this. So take me back, tell me how this all came about.
So when I was in school between year 8 and year 10, I was playing Call of Duty, playing Xbox, started building my online profile on Twitch and YouTube. So I started creating content back then. And I had no plan to do anything I didn't have a plan to be a photographer or anything, but my skills and love for editing kind of happened when I was in school doing that. And then in year 10, as you do with most things in school, when you're doing something or posting yourself online, you get a bit bullied for it. So then in year 10, I stopped. And then when I came to finishing school in year 11, I got a job at McDonald's, went to college, studied graphic design. And then during my time at college, I started just looking at Instagram and seeing what people are doing. I saw people were posting outfit pictures and growing their presence, growing their brand online, I guess, and working with really cool brands. So whether it was Nike or Adidas or Puma, whatever brands it was, and I just knew that I wanted to work with these brands, but I had no idea on the path how it worked, but I knew that I wanted a piece of it. So I
Yeah,
always got told, I always got told from a young age, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If something's working, then you can not copy it, but you can follow the same blueprint and put your twist on it.
yeah.
So seeing everyone posting outfit pictures, I started using the college camera, started taking pictures on a car park rooftop opposite college, taking pictures of my outfits, using the college tripod because I didn't have anything. And then that meant I started to buy clothes to wear for Instagram, if there was new clothes coming out or popular items, I guess, hyped items. I started taking outfit pictures wearing them. And then during one of my college breaks, I went into Selfridges in Manchester showed this employee what I was doing on Instagram. She liked my enthusiasm, so she asked me to bring my CV in. So I took my CV into Selfridges, went for
Mhm.
an interview a week later, and then got the job on Ralph Lauren. I was a sales rep on Ralph Lauren. So
Wow.
then I instantly dropped out of college and quit McDonald's and was like, let me go Selfridges. Started do it like working at Selfridges quite often, like 5 days a week. But then that allowed me to get designer clothes for cheap. And then I was meeting other creators who worked at Selfridges, etc. So it was kind of like the fact I was getting into the fashion Instagram world, it was like a perfect
Yeah.
job to work at. So then, whilst I was there, I met other creators. As I said, they needed people to capture them at events, and
Yeah.
they needed photos. Because I was new into it, I didn't know how to get into these events. But because these creators needed a photographer to take photos of them, I'd tag along. And then, basically, 15, 16 years old, I was going to these PR events with people to take pictures. So then I started going to these events from early on. And then whilst I was at these events, I was getting photos taken of me. So then my presence at these things started to build. And then I think when you show that you're working with brands, like when you show that, other brands see that and then they start like working with you. That's what I learned quite quick. So when it went from just me posting outfit pictures to then posting that I'm at events and stuff, that's when like traction started coming with other people inviting me to events, etc. Um, and
Wow.
then that's when like I guess my photography started developing. So I started just taking outfit pictures for people, which then developed into like clients booking me for events or shoots or like campaigns, whatever it was. So then between like 16 years old and 22, I was basically just doing photography for like just I was doing it all over the world. I wasn't saying no to anything. It was I never niched myself down. For me, it was just like it was about experience, and I realized that as a photographer, like you could get access to things that other people just wouldn't get access to. So it just snowballed into like just shooting every day, getting flown everywhere, working with fashion brands, beauty brands, like individuals, whatever it was.
Wow.
And then in July 2022, and there's some crazy stories with that photography. I was on stage with my favorite artists and
Right.
like just with like celebrities that I'd always listened to, and it was crazy. So, but I think I experienced a big heap load of it before COVID came, which was really helpful because I think
Okay.
COVID kind of birthed a lot of new creatives, so the opportunities slimmed down. But then it was also obviously for like traveling and stuff, it was so difficult. Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of got a lot in before COVID. And then in July 2022, I got to the point with my photography where I'd like done so much, I just
Yeah.
stopped feeling fulfilled from it and getting paid to do it was no longer like fulfilling me. So I knew for years before that, I knew I wanted to build my own brand, but I didn't want to do a clothing brand. I just wanted to build a presence, like some sort of brand. So
Yeah.
then July 2022 was when we started doing heads. So
Wow. So
yeah,
can I just take you back a
so
little bit before we go into head? So
yeah,
you dropped out of college,
yeah,
big decision, and then you got this job at Salvages, and
yeah,
then what was that transition from the point where you left Salvages to go and do this
yeah,
photography? How
yeah.
did that transition happen?
It was very like natural progression. So whilst I was in Selfridges, I was still posting on Instagram a lot and I was posting
Mm,
all the time. And then my shifts were like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then on the weekend. But then a lot of opportunities, a lot of jobs started coming on them days. Um, Whether it was like I was getting paid to model or getting paid to shoot, like whatever it was. Um, so when it started getting to that point, I
mm,
was still 16 at this point, and it was like I had to make a decision whether to like do it now or basically like regret not doing it for the rest of my life because I
yeah.
still lived at home with my mum. I had no commitments. I could just I was 16, so as long as I was earning like £500 a month, but not even that. I didn't, as long as it was like £300 a month, I
Yeah.
could get by. But then I realized if I quit Selfridges and put more effort into it, that money's going to go like way up because I'm putting more effort into it. So this was still
Mm.
like right at the start, and I was getting a lot of invites to like events in like Leeds and Liverpool and London. So then working a job was it just became really difficult to. I could still work the job, I still had time to do it, but it was more like
Yeah.
if I wanted to really make this something, I needed 100% of my headspace to be on doing that.
Yeah.
So then when I quit Selfridges, I was just like back to back all the time, like spending time with DJs. Like if they were going to clubs and DJing, I'd
Mm.
always be at these clubs with my camera, because I found clubs were really good for meeting people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just whether it was a guy starting a clothing brand or a girl who's got a beauty brand and they
Yeah.
need photos or something, like I just found it a really good environment to like meet people. So I started basically going to these clubs with DJs, doing fashion shoots, modeling myself, whatever way I could like get out there and do
Yeah.
things. I was doing. And then
Amazing.
yeah, and then it was so the MEN article where I think you got the 7 years from Hollywood from,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's slightly wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me about that. Tell me that
Yeah.
situation. So what happened
So
there?
so it was 2019. I Tatty Lashes, the eyelash company.
Okay.
They were doing a shoot in LA, and it was over 6 days, and it was
Hmm.
with Mitchell, who's got Made by Mitchell. It was at the Pretty Little Thing HQ on Melrose, and then it was
Wow.
BeautyCon as well. So
Yeah.
it was this trip with like three big shoots.
Okay.
So then they asked me if I wanted to go, and it was like just the most incredible thing ever.
Oh,
So I said yes. Went with Mitchell, who like I really looked
how
up to.
old was she then?
18,
Oh,
18.
okay. Okay.
And then I basically got to Hollywood and started shooting all these things. And whilst I was at the Pretty Little Thing HQ, there was two influencers there that I was speaking to, and I don't know if it was because I was like Mancunian with like blue eyes, blonde hair. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
when I was speaking to them, we just connected straight away. It was two sisters, and they said that if I ever wanted to go back to America, they'd let me stay at their place if I
Oh.
shoot the content for them. Because
And of
again,
course you said yes.
I was like, yeah, this is amazing. But then this is when I started to, it was like, as a photographer, you've got a lot of access, like you can come and
Yeah.
go for a lot of people. So then when I got back from America 6 days later from that trip, and then like 2 days later I flew back. I was like, right, I'm going back. I messaged these twins and I was like, these sisters, and I was like, can I come back? I'll stay for 2 weeks. So then I packed my bags, went back, and the 2 weeks turned into like 3.5 months because it was like the universe, to be honest. I was getting booked more there than I was here
Oh my gosh.
because the word was just like spreading. But then I was in with like the big influencers. So
Yeah.
then people always ask them if they know anyone. It's the same with anything like if you do a good job for one person, that's like the most important thing because then word of
Yeah.
mouth, I think a lot of,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and then my journey in America started. So it was 3.5 months. And I was working with like Umar from Pretty Little Thing and that like just the
Gosh.
access. I was just going to all these different places. I was doing like launch events, like music nights. So I was in the as well as like the celebrity world, I was also doing like the local business stuff in America. So like the hairdressers and
Hmm.
like bars and stuff. So it wasn't just big stuff, but that was like my bread and butter work. It was good. It was literally like I'd just transferred all my work over. And then like the stuff I experienced in America was just like unreal. Like it's
Wow.
stuff that you're never going to experience here. Whether it was like being with like the biggest celebrity or whether it was like going to these like parties you see in America where they've got like a logo in the pool on like the penthouse. Like going to these
Oh,
things that I'd only ever seen on Instagram. I'd never seen them in real life. So
yeah.
just seeing these things just really opened my eyes. And then I got back and then I took another trip to America. And then when I got back from that America trip, that's when I basically wanted to start Heads. So I think the influence of America, when I saw, even though I know some stuff's quite controversial with Hollywood and,
Yeah,
everything, um, just seeing like the support system that is there for talent, like it
yeah.
just really inspired me for when I got back here. So I started seeing Manchester as like a mini Hollywood. Because you've got all the talent, you've got the venue, you've got everything here. It's just
Yeah,
here you don't have like the big Universal or like whatever it is. Uh,
yeah.
but then that's what when I got back and realized that there wasn't any huge companies here like Universal, I just kind of realized that there was all these creatives in Manchester that
There's a lot.
there's a
It's
lot, and there was over the past since I started like 7 years ago when I got back from America, 7 years before that, nothing had changed as such. Like
yeah,
there was nothing that was made that provided more opportunities for creatives or like there's obviously always like the council doing things, etc. But I just saw this gap for all these people that were so talented. They weren't influencers, but they were
mm,
creatives. So instead of, people that promote Pretty Little Thing, we work with like the artists who paint or the photographers or so it's we
yeah,
work with the actual creatives rather than like influencers.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and we just saw this huge gap for all these people. So then that's when we started developing like the heads idea into what it is today.
So this is amazing, and like it all sounds like everything just went smoothly. Was there
Actually,
any
yeah.
challenges that you've had to face, or later on, so like more now, where you've had some challenges that you had to face?
So with freelancing, it was very like the work always came to me.
Yeah,
So I never did any outreach or anything. So in terms of getting work, I just knew that if I just kept consistent through what I'm doing, work's
yeah,
always going to come.
yeah,
Um, which it's a risk to live like that, but if like you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself.
yeah, yeah,
So then I think with freelancing, it was like it was learning how to deal with clients for the first time because say when I'm doing videos for clients, they come back with amendments for the video. Um,
mm,
and it's knowing like sometimes what the client says they want an amendment for is either not
mm,
possible or it would look better a different way. So it was
yeah,
learning how to like communicate with clients in a way that wasn't rude. It was working with them rather than like working for them and just making like basically just getting the result that they really want.
yeah,
And then when and of course like payments as well. I really struggled with not sending invoices, but like keeping track of invoices and like that was just so difficult for me to do.
yeah.
Um, and then when it came to starting heads, my biggest challenge was going from a freelancer to a business owner.
I was going to ask you this because I done the same and it was completely different. I found it was quite difficult, right? Like going from a
Yeah.
freelancer to, your own company, it's completely different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you have more like you have commitments. Like
Yeah.
we don't work with clients on retainers.
Mm-hmm.
So like because we're like I really want us to just enjoy what we do and
Yeah.
we wanted to build. I'll talk a little bit about heads anyway.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah, I think the challenge of heads has been just building a business, going from a freelancer. But then at the same time, it's like my personal brand that I've built has like made heads like indestructible. I see it. Like I just think
Yeah.
everything that I've learned, all the people that I've met along the way, all over the world, they were supporting me anyway. And now that I've started my own company or brand, they're like supporting more. From, in the past, like someone that I might have done a shoot for that I quoted £500, but they only had £100 budget. Like someone that I did that for 5 years ago, and
Yeah.
now like, we're doing events with them. So it's just you never know where things are going to come from and where relationships are going to start. Um,
Yeah.
but then the other thing with one of our other challenges at the start of Heads was we knew when we were building a brand based around creativity, we knew that like in a few years' time, loads of businesses are going to want creativity and community. But at the time, like 3 years ago, it was very much I was having to like convince people that they need creatives in the venue. And some people said yes, some people said no. But now everyone's meetings and briefs and everything is all creative community. That's
Yeah.
literally what it is. Like, so we kind of for the first year, it was very much like we just had to really believe in what we believed in. And even if like the clients weren't there, we were still able to put on our own heads events, whether we were self-funding them or not. Like we just found ways of being able to grow our brand, even if businesses weren't on board with it.
Yeah. Did Head start as a magazine or did it start as an
Yeah.
agency or both?
So the idea for Head started in June 2022, and it was I knew that I had my photography skills, so I wanted to do a project for Manchester. So I started photographing people, um, and it was supposed to be a zine, but then it turned into a magazine, then it turned into a project, then it turned into an event, and then it turned into like the start of Heads.
Oh,
But it was meant
wow.
to just be like a photography project. Each person was wearing a different brand. So we went Selfridges and got different, everyone was wearing a different brand, whether it was like Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, like every brand. So it was 30 people, 30 brands.
Yeah.
Um, I photographed them all in my living room just at home. So then
Oh,
everybody that I photographed, they came in, like we had a coffee together. So I like connected with everyone.
hmm.
Um, and then once we'd shot them all, we'd produced the magazine. We did our first event. That was in July 2022, and I'd never done an event before. Like when we felt that feeling of bringing people in a room together, and especially like bringing people that you'd never see in a room together.
Yeah.
Like we just fell in love with that, and I think it was also I realized that I'd never sold anything through my Instagram, but when I realized that I could get people to an event through my Instagram, it was just like, this is perfect. Like I can just like double down on this. Because it's quite, thing is with events, you've got the ticket link, you've got the promo content, you've got the flyer. It's quite complicated. Like there's different things going on that you
Yeah.
balance. But we just found what worked for us straight away. And then because we started doing our events, that got us meeting everybody. So after
Mhm.
the launch event, we started doing like photography meetups, art events, exhibitions, panel talks. Like we tried loads of different stuff and we just did, and we kept heads on everything. So we just kept building this brand. And then through doing the events, we got to meet all the creative people, started
Mhm.
listening to the feedback, listening to what people struggle with, listening to like the challenges people face. And then we very much started to build our pillars and build our heads infrastructure around what people were struggling with. So, for example, there was a lot of artists who paint, and they couldn't get their artwork seen. No, but like galleries wouldn't let them in, whether it's because
Yeah.
they're not known or the pieces aren't expensive enough. So then we started our own art gallery.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so we've had one at Inside, which is by Melia, the hotel chain. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
we've had that there for a year and a half of physical space. And we've probably had like over 50 artists in there. And then we've
Wow.
got headsgallery.com. So a few months ago, I launched a website because I realized that the physical gallery is great, but I've got all this artwork here that I could put on a Shopify website and start marketing to everyone everywhere. Mm. So then we started building that Instagram a few weeks ago, about a month ago. And then we've had Tribe Hotel at Manchester Airport. They've asked if we can do the gallery in there as well. So we've just set a
Oh
date on
my
it. So
gosh.
we're kind of like we've had a lot of opportunities to put art in spaces, but we've just been very like particular with everything. And hotel chains are like pretty good for us just because of what they can do to support. Obviously, it's a corporate company,
Yeah.
can like pay talent to do workshops. So even if the artwork doesn't sell in the
Mm.
hotel can still pay the talent to do workshops, to DJ, to do these different things. So because it's important to us that like if we bring creatives into a company, like they're just respected and like it's not necessarily even well paid because some things money can't pay for, like if you get a stay at a hotel or, there's certain things that are good contra deals. So
Yeah.
we always just try to get the best out for everyone. So that's our art gallery, which is I I'm really excited about the art gallery. I think
You seem like really passionate talking about all this. And what I
yeah,
like is that you've kind of like looked at this community and you've tried to tailor your business to help people. And it's
yeah,
starting to
yeah,
kind of pay off in a way
yeah,
that obviously will drive a lot of revenue, but it's like it's
yeah,
come from the heart, which is
yeah,
amazing, which is how it should be really.
yeah,
So it seems like
100%.
it seems like you've
I
done
think
it from that.
yeah, we've really understood everyone's capabilities. Like, I think one thing we did from the start was instead of us like telling clients what we do, we did it ourselves. Like, we did it for Heads. So we built the
Yeah.
Heads brand, and then people now see what we do for our own brand, and then they come to us for help. But instead
Mhm.
of us being service based and being like, we'll charge you like £5,000 to do an event or to do an event for you, we'll say, well, if you let us put our Heads logo on it, we'll like chop that price in half because we benefit from it. We need to do Heads events. We've got a brand.
Wow.
Um, so so we just approached it differently. Instead of being like service based, like this is what we can do for you, it's
Yeah.
like this is how you can collaborate with Heads, and then like we bring all the creatives in.
This is smart. I love this.
Yeah, so basically like we did it for ourselves
Yeah.
basically, and then clients come to us for what we've done for ourselves, and then we attach our logo onto it, and then our brand just
Mhm.
gets attached to all these big brands. But obviously, we've had to keep a really clean brand image for these
Yeah.
big brands to want to work with us. Like they do collaborative posts with us on Instagram and stuff. So, and that means they're putting us directly to their audience. Um, but one thing that's helped with that, I think, is I create all our content.
Yeah.
So we're a two-person team, me and Molly, and we work with freelancers on some other projects. But because I create all our content, it's been consistent for the past 3 years, and I think that's what most brands struggle with, like keeping a consistent brand image. But as I said, because I create everything, it's always been the same.
How did you get these bigger clients? Because I know a lot of people came to you and you had a lot of word of
Yeah.
mouth, but is there any kind of direct approach that you had to do to get these bigger clients?
I think my Instagram presence and reputation really helped because if someone in one of these big companies, like if they mentioned that they want artwork or they want a photographer, there
Hmm.
was always someone in these companies that I'd met along my way who would really back
Right.
me. But then I'd also say like LinkedIn, like I say honestly, I say it to all creative people because I tag people on LinkedIn, and when I'm trying to tag
Yeah.
people, they're not on it. Uh,
Yeah.
and so LinkedIn, because you can find a specific person, like you can
Oh,
find
yeah.
that person. I've made the mistake at the start where I was like writing big like messages with a whole idea and I was sending it. But then I learned it's not about that. Like I started asking people just to call or just go for a coffee and then
Yeah.
just building these relationships. Because I think a lot of people, especially at the start, they see clients as this like huge monumental thing. But in actual fact, like that they're just another person. Like
Yeah.
they're not clients pay you, but they are just another person. And most of the time, it's the clients that can't find the creatives.
Yeah.
Like people, look, that's what we've found. Like people now come to us, they'll just email us if they need a photographer or if they need models. Like they'll just email us, and then within like half an hour, we've sorted it with them. Because it's not just the creatives not being able to find the clients, it's the other way around. But then it's also for the clients, if it's a big shoot, if they've never met the photographer before or the model, it's too risky booking them for the first time, not knowing if the reputation's good. Like it's too risky. So then that's where we've turned into this middleman for creatives.
Yeah.
Uh, we know if it's like a job that's really early in the morning, like we know who doesn't wake up early. Like there's these certain things, it's certain things like we just know
Yeah.
we know people's lifestyles. We know
Yeah.
if there's something that's a really quick turnaround, we know who will be able to do that and who won't. And like, we've just got to understand these things. So when clients come to us, we just know who it is for the job.
Yeah, and have you so going through this because it's all been really positive and you've just seen positive as a person,
Yeah.
but have
I'm
you ever
very
had
optimistic.
kind of any like self-doubt or any fear that, heads might not be what you want it to be, or you might struggle, or it might not
Yeah.
work as well as what you thought, or have
Um,
you had any of those negative thoughts along
I
the way?
think naturally, yeah, like when we've like sent pictures and you obviously don't get a reply or don't get a no,
Yeah,
definitely. But to be honest, I think one of the factors to our success is our optimism.
yeah,
Like, I think if you're unsure that you're going to make it, there's like you need to like just have a conversation with yourself and identify like what it is that you're unsure about. Like, if you're unsure about your skills and unsure that if your skills are going to take you there, then the best thing I think you can do is like go meet like-minded people, because there's 100% people. I mean, everyone's like it. Like you have ideas and you try loads of stuff. Nothing's actually what it seems. Like you see a business and you're like, wow, they're like killing it. But then in actual fact, like the shipping might be a mess and like the wholesale might be like, you actually never know. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
you actually never know. But yeah, I think the belief, I think things that I've found have helped along the way is definitely like getting like press, like the MEN article that I got about myself. And also like having a really good like business partner to do it with.
yeah,
That's one thing.
absolutely.
Like me and Molly, like we're together, we're in a
Yeah.
relationship, so we're
Hmm.
we're together all the time.
Yeah.
Now we both have down days and we both have moments where we feel down, but we just very much remind each other like of why we started. And I think it can be difficult for founders who don't live together or aren't in a relationship, because if you're
Or
not
don't have a
together,
partnership, right? That are
yeah,
solo.
yeah, exactly. Like it can be difficult, like having to message someone for motivation because it's not the same as it being in person. And
Yeah.
I just think a lot of the things that we have, me and Molly have in our life, like especially like being in Manchester, in the centre of Manchester as well, it's just made things like enjoyable for us. And I do also think like struggle really comes when you start doing things that like don't make you feel fulfilled. Because I think if you
Mm.
really enjoy doing something, like you find a way, like you really do find a way. And
Yeah.
especially for us, like because everything's so community first, it's like any opportunity. If I see a big new venue opening, I will want to do an event there, not just because I want to do an event. I think about all the photographers and all the models in Manchester who are going to be able to take photos in that spot. Because I remember when I first started, and if I get an opportunity to shoot in a certain location, I remember how mind-blowing it was. So it's kind of like, because a lot of the stuff we do is so community first, like it's not all about us. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm able to like build a business from it and provide like loads of opportunities to people. But I don't actually really think about the struggle. I just I think that like obviously timekeeping and stuff can be a struggle. Um, but I think the more you do something, the more like the less stressful it becomes, and you learn
Yeah.
what's easier and what's worth doing. But we had events where, when we first started doing events, we were like taking all the stuff in a like an Aldi trolley that we took, and we were
Yeah.
taking it up to the venue. And then some other times I had to like carry loads of like alcohol back from a venue, bring it back home, and I was having to like walk across town with it. But
Oh,
so there was a lot of things that we didn't realize we needed to prepare for because we'd never done
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I guess they were the struggles, or like even like if we're doing an event at a venue, double checking about certain things, like have you got a microphone? What time will you be at the venue? Like knowing what questions to ask.
So you've mentioned a lot about community, and there's a lot of people that do write in because they're not really sure how to build a community because so many people are like doing the same thing if they're in a community that's
Yeah,
quite popular, be it entrepreneurs or
yeah, yeah.
creatives or so on. So what advice would you give when it comes to building a community?
Yeah, yeah. So we like through our process of 3 years of doing heads, like we've kind of realized all the different things that you can do with a community. So I think the most important thing when it comes to starting one is just working out what it actually is that you want to do for them. Like, is it you want to do events where you bring people together and then that like you've got an events community and then they all connect at the event and start working together, you start this like chain reaction. Um, or is it that you want to like be an agency for them? So you're basically like providing paid work. Because they're two very different things, like doing events for your community and then providing paid work. You need to be able to, one, build your brand to do your own events, but then you also need to show clients what your creatives in your community offer.
Mm,
So then this is where your like relationships with your community members really matters. Um, but I definitely think like it's just kind of it's identifying exactly what it is you want to do because there's even there's so many like WhatsApp group chats that are communities where it's
yeah.
people just speaking, people offering advice, and there's so many different ways that like the communities can provide value or you can provide value for them.
Mm,
But you've really got to be doing it because you want to do it. Like you've really got to do it because you love it. It's like anything. Like if you try to
yeah.
start something that you're not passionate about, it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
And if something's like if you start in a community and you've got like a revenue goal in mind and you're building a business plan and you're trying to make money from the community, that's also like it's quite difficult to do because you start to build your customer base rather than your community. So
Yeah.
like I'm even we've the only product we've brought out is our magazines, but they weren't I didn't get them made to like I didn't need to sell them. It wasn't like a goal to sell, it was about doing the project.
Yeah.
Over the past 3 years we've not brought out t-shirts, we've not done any products because I'm genuinely cautious of taking money out of our community's pocket. Like we want
Yeah.
to focus on putting it into people's pockets rather than taking it out.
Yeah.
Because it's also like we've tried to do the opposite of what everyone else does. And a lot of people at the start will bring out t-shirts, will bring out a hoodie to make money. But I see it as like, well, if I just wait and I do that in like 2, 3 years time, I'll probably be able to bring something out with a brand like Adidas because I've waited and I've not done it right at the start. I've waited for the right time, waited for the right partner to do it with. Um,
How do you have that like patience, if you like?
yeah, you know
Sometimes,
what?
people have said to me, You're building, when are you going to monetize it?" And I'm like, I never even like thought about it. But how do you have that where it is just, keep going with this community? And like you say, it could
Yeah,
be a couple of years before, but you say that
yeah,
so with ease that that's
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I think it's because like I feel like I've lived two lives. So like from when I was 15 to 22 before I started Heads, I just did so much stuff, just all over the world, all different countries. And then I feel like when I got to 22, I'd hit my fulfillment. I was like, right, I'm fulfilled. I knew that nobody will ever be able to take that past 7 years away from me.
Yeah,
Like I knew that was staying, that was there. Like no one could ever say I haven't done it because I have.
yeah,
I proved to myself that I could do it when nobody, like people weren't doing it. People weren't getting a coach to Birmingham for 50 quid, then spending that 50 quid on lunch and the coach back. Like I was just doing things that other people weren't doing. So that's how I got so many opportunities. And then, I mean, when it came to starting Heads, it's hard for me to identify, but I've always said like the lifestyle that I lived, if more people could experience what I did, then I believe like a lot of people would be a lot happier.
yeah,
So when it came to doing heads, it was like, how can I basically have other people experience this lifestyle that I have? Whether that be modeling for United or modeling for Media City or like working with these different brands, how can I connect them
Yeah.
dots up? Because I knew what it did for me, and I was 22 and felt like I'd done like everything I wanted to do. I couldn't really see past like it was just I'd done all this stuff. I'd traveled the world and I've been paid to like it's not, when you're in school, most people when you think about traveling the world, it's like, oh, I need to pay for it. Nobody ever talks about getting paid to travel the world. Like
Yeah.
people talk
Yeah.
about how much it costs to do things, but no one talks about how like the sacrifices you need to make just to get paid to do that. Like
Yeah.
when I went to LA for the first time, it was like £5,500, 6 nights in LA, flights, accommodation, everything covered. And I got this opportunity, and it's just like when you get presented with something like that, it's crazy. Like you can't say no. But then obviously I
Yeah.
appreciate that you've got to put yourself in a position to get these things. Um, and I just like delivered on jobs, and I learned from an early age like how to communicate, even like asking for 5,500. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of creative people, they're stuck on undercharging themselves.
Yeah.
But then I think that what they struggle with is they try to charge their current clients more. But what I always say is like, if a client's been paying you for like £100, they're not going to randomly just pay you 500. Like
Mm.
unless you're providing so much more value, like
Yeah.
you need to just get in front of different clients. Like them 100 photos you're getting paid £100 to create for that client, another client will pay you £2,000 because I know because I get that. Like my fee is like 10 times plus what other photographers' fees are. And it's
Yeah.
because of my personal brand, it's because of the brands that I'm in front of, the deliverables. When I'm sending my fee, I'll tell them like the breakdown of what they get. And it's like a fast turnaround as well.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's a very big like confidence thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's like, look, oh, it sounds the way that you've gone about it. I've done a lot of interviews, and the
yeah,
way that you're talking is very different to what I've heard before, but it's
yeah,
nice, it's refreshing. So, what advice? And I'm going to come on to the last two questions
yeah,
because
yeah.
I know I've taken up a
I've
lot of your
got a,
time,
I've
but
got a, I want to tell you what our big goal is at the end as
oh,
well.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, okay, so we'll go into kind of, what your big goal is and kind of your plans for the future. But then I want you to give a little bit more advice to people
Yeah,
that, want to start their own business, and what advice
yeah,
would you give to them? But also people that want to do what it is that you're
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
What advice would you give to them? So
yeah,
let's talk about your future plans for the company,
yeah,
and then, just the advisory on what
100%.
advice you can give to entrepreneurs.
Sure. So our big goal is we want to open headquarters.
Oh.
So it basically be like a
Got a
solo
nice ring to it.
headquarters, I know. So basically it'd be like imagine like how Soho House is for like
Yeah.
business professionals, but like that, but for creatives.
Ah,
So
good.
you
Yeah.
basically have like, and everything that we've been doing over the past 3 years is teased what it'll be. So we want
Yeah.
it to be like a photo studio, music studio, everything in there. But then there's things like because we've got an art gallery, we want an art room, art studio, so people can
Yeah.
create art that then can be put in our gallery. So it's then we're instead of just facilitating artists who create, we can then we can basically help artists create and then put them pieces in the gallery because
Mm,
we work with a lot of artists who already create things, but there's also a lot of people who don't create things who are very talented.
mm,
So
mm.
it's like about how we can basically help people actually create to then be
Yeah.
displayed later on in the gallery. But the thing with headquarters, obviously we know like the F&B industry is really difficult and it's so hard to, financially. So we wanted to build our community before we opened headquarters. Like we could have opened headquarters at the start and that's how we
Yeah.
built, but
Yeah.
then we would have had to try and get people in. Whereas the way we've done it now is like our events have gone from selling like 10 tickets to like 150, 200 plus.
Wow.
And through doing loads of different events. So it's kind of now ensured that as soon as we open that HQ, we'll have the people in there. Um,
Yeah.
and it's also kind of come from like we want to be able to help people do workshops, like art workshops. Like we want artists to be able to earn from doing their own workshops, but for us to like organize them with loads of different venues, it's just a lot of logistical work. Like every venue is different, everyone has different opening times, etc. Um, so if we had our own space, we could basically Monday to Sunday we could have an event in there, morning, afternoon,
Yeah.
dinner. We could charge no higher fee. We do the bar, and then that's where we make our money. Because
Wow.
we try to look for we try to because we don't like charging people, we don't like money coming out of people's pockets. We try to just look for ways that we can earn outside of like taking a percentage of things. So,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we can do a bar at our HQ and then people can do their own workshops, like we're going to make more off the bar than if they were paying for the space anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so
That sounds incredible.
being
And
really
I have
smart,
no doubt that will come into
yeah,
fruition. We're just
really
waiting
excited.
for it.
We've had our touch of physical spaces, so we've got an office at Media City,
Yeah.
um, and then we've got our art gallery at Inside, and then we've got the other one at Tribe Hotel. So
Yeah.
we've dipped into our physical spaces and we love it. But now it's just like how can we basically do this, but for everyone? And then we want to start it in Manchester, and then I want to do it in everywhere like
Roll
Paris,
it out.
Barcelona, London.
Yeah.
Just want to like go everywhere with it because there's even everywhere like artists. There's so many artists. Like even in Malta,
Yeah.
I was speaking to the hotel before, and there's so many artists in Malta that won't get seen. And I'm
Oh, yeah.
not saying it's easy, but like because we know the hotels that are opening, we could very easily like just find the artists on Instagram, DM them, put the art in the gallery, put a QR code under it, so we don't need to be there. And then suddenly we're representing artists from like Malta.
Wow.
So it's kind
That's
of like
incredible.
yeah, there's just like there's just so many artists creating, but there's nowhere for them to see it. And I think a lot of artists get very like demotivated because their artwork doesn't get seen or it doesn't sell. But then
Mm.
the root of the problem is it's just not getting seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most creatives, most artists, they don't see themselves as a business. Or if you were to put some artists in front of like high paying clients, like they just wouldn't really know how to communicate because they've not
Yeah.
experienced with it.
Yeah.
Again, this is where like heads are going to be the middleman between the art buyer and the artist to then facilitate. But I'm trying to, at the minute, people buy art obviously because of the big artists like Banksy, etc. But
Mm.
we've got all these new artists that I'm in the process of like basically I have to position all these pieces as investments,
Hmm.
even though this artist is like 18 years old and no one knows who they are.
Yeah.
I have to like put it to people as an investment rather than like you're just buying a piece of art for your wall. It's like this is the start of like Manchester's art, like new art scene. Like there's a whole new generation of people here. Um, so I'm
So
just,
I was just going to say, so how can like creative people join your community? Because there's a
yeah,
lot all over the world, like you say.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
on, you're on Instagram, you've got a
Mailing
website.
list, website, mailing list.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
our gallery is actually an open call,
Mm.
so you can basically just fill in a form, fill in your details, and then we'll basically work with the hotel on which pieces to put up.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways to join. There's obviously when we first started, we were thinking about this, like what ways can people join? And we could do an app where people pay for the app, etc., and all this stuff. But we wanted to wait till we open headquarters.
Yeah.
And if we have an app, you could pay £10 a month for the app and you get access to all the events.
Yeah.
You get like a heads black card, so you get discount at creative shops,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So it's kind of there is more ways that we could do like people to join, but we
It's
we don't want to put
timing, right? It's
time in.
you've
Like
got your
it'll be,
plan, it's
I could make an app
timing.
now and there'll be an event on there once a month, or I could make an app when we open headquarters and there'll be 30 events a month on it. So it's like I'd
Exactly.
much rather wait to provide that value.
Yeah.
But this is where I think our journey is different to a lot of people because a lot of people would just do it.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people know that it might not be the right decision, but
Yeah.
will do it because if you don't know, you don't try. But
Mm.
I'm still all about that, but I only want to do things, not if I'm certain it's going to work, but if I've got confidence in it, if I know that I'm going to be able to if I'm going to be able to grow this new Instagram page or if I'm going to be able to sell that art, I'll only do it if I really know inside. If I don't really know it inside, then
You
I don't,
won't.
we don't do it just because you'll be able to tell, like you'll be able to see, you know.
That is very
And
good.
plus, it's like if I do something and it doesn't work, for me mentally, I'm going to start believing that I can't do it. So I'd rather just not do that thing because then I'll
And just
constantly keep
wait
believing.
until
Yeah,
you
I'd
feel,
rather do
yeah.
the things I'm confident I can do because then I'm never waking up thinking, oh, I failed yesterday. Like I always wake up thinking I did the most I could yesterday. I'm going to do the most I could today, and then I go to sleep at night knowing
Yeah.
I couldn't have physically done any more. You know.
Amazing. So look, you have got such an interesting take on everything, and everything you're doing sounds incredible. So you've given a lot of advice from a different perspective in this interview. So just give us a little bit more, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
what advice would you give to people that are trying to start a business or want to start a business, but
Yeah.
they're kind of a bit, got a bit of
Yeah.
doubt or and then what advice would you give to people that want to do what you do
Yeah, yeah,
essentially?
yeah. So the advice for like people wanting to start a business, I think one thing is that's so important is like nothing is what it seems.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know, say you're thinking of starting like a mushroom coffee brand, say. Um, like if you when it comes to like researching competitors and stuff, I find that like a lot of people seem to think whoever's got the best looking website is doing the best, or whoever's got the most followers on Instagram is doing the best. But I've met brands who have got like 500 followers on Instagram. They don't really push their presence on Instagram. The website's not amazing, but their like ads funnel is like incredible. Like it's the most
Mm.
amazing thing ever. It's so targeted. Um, but then on the flip side, you've got like heads. It's very much Instagram is our driving like platform, and it's taken me posting all the time. Like I'm constantly creating, constantly
Yeah.
posting on it. We've got our gallery page, got all these different pages. So I think it's the first thing when it's coming growing a business, it's working out if you want to run it with ads, like if you want to focus on creating ad content for your market, or if you want to do it organically without ads, which is what we've done.
Yeah.
It obviously takes a lot more like feet on the ground, like actually connecting with people, and it being basically like grown by your community.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's two things that I would say just identifying, like if it's going to be
Yeah.
ads or if it's going to be organic, because it's two very different journeys. If it's ads and you've got £100,000 there right now, realistically, you're going to be able to put 10 grand on. If it fails, you've still got another 90 grand to test with. Whereas when it's organic, you might do an Instagram post and it not do anything, but then you try something else the next day and it like you take off from it. So it's also being ready to adapt and being really flexible. And if you've got a smaller team of people, it's easier to be flexible.
Yeah.
Like between me and Molly, if there's a decision that needs to be made, like if Molly's in the kitchen, I'll shout, and then she'll say yes or no, and then the decision's made.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
if there's like loads of people in your team, I feel like it can get quite messy with like getting
Mm.
approvals or like getting answers. It takes longer. So even like really defining what your like roles are. So, playing into people's strengths. Like if you enjoy doing spreadsheets, but the person next to you is really good at them, it's probably worth you sacrificing your love for doing it to someone who is really good at it.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though you love doing it, it's kind of knowing when to lean into other people's strengths.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah, for
true.
sure. And then in terms of like being a creative, with like photographers specifically, what I find is when you go on a lot of photographers' social media pages, all you ever see is their work. You never see
Mm-hmm.
the face behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to a client booking you, they don't know who they're putting their money into. Whereas when you go on my page, it's just my face. Like I've got instead of just taking a picture of my camera, I hold my camera in pictures of me. So then people directly see me and they're like, yeah, he's a photographer or videographer. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like as a creative, attaching your face to your work for sure, because it just allows clients to see where they're putting the money into. Yeah, basically. I think it's really important,
amazing.
and it's a confidence thing, like
Yeah,
telling your story as well. Like on LinkedIn, I just constantly tell my story. Like
yeah,
every I'm just able just to write paragraphs. If I do a photo shoot, I'm able to write like a really big paragraph about it. It's not just a simple like two-liner. I'll write about like why I did it, how it made them feel, the outcome of it.
yeah,
And it's just like really telling your story. I think everybody's got a unique story, but
yeah,
everybody's
for
too scared
sure.
to tell it because they think nobody cares. But
Yeah,
everybody cares. Like
yeah.
if everybody told the story, like the world, everyone would just think everybody's so much more interesting.
The real
It's not even
stories,
just stories
not the
like
fake
business.
stories.
Yeah, it's not even just like I got this job and got paid this. It's not even just that. It's like I lived at home with my mum and my brother, and
Mm,
stories that are like my mum works three jobs and this and that.
yeah,
People relate, like
yeah,
people relate to it, and people want to know, like, well, how did you go from that to then doing music videos for this person? And
yeah.
people know because people really
They
want to do it
do.
themselves, you know.
They do. And that's why we do this podcast.
Yes, telling stories.
Yes, yes. So listen, you have been incredible. We've
Thank
come
you for
to
having
the
me
end,
on.
but you have been amazing. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for your time and thank you for being here.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you. You too. See you
Thank you.
later.
Bye. Bye.